Hello, everybody out there. Welcome to the international community of national sovereigns. And do I have a treat for you today? I have a lovely source soul here that's coming here to bless us with her energy, a lovely thought of source. And she has been on YouTube for a while. I started watching her in 2017 when she had a huge afro and she was complaining about how she got kicked off of Facebook. I don't know why she got kicked off of Facebook. She'll probably go into that if she wants to, but because I've been off Facebook since 2015, because I was censored because I was talking about Big Mike and Barry. So she's here today to enlighten us with her knowledge of what's going on a little bit with Nasara, the debt clock, about the 42 states that has repealed their taxes on precious metals, and IRS is going bye-bye. So she's going to be here to help us with a little bit more information so we can see that is some tangible, overt things that's happening. When people say there's nothing happening, they're not looking for it. They're not looking for it. They can't see it because this is the war, and this war is very doing a lot of things covertly that we don't see yet, but eventually we all will see because it's coming. And I know it's coming. I've been getting information that it's coming, and that's all we have to worry about. We got some good people out there. Welcome to the show, Dr. Kia Pruitt, and she is from Source, and she's gonna bless us, man. She's gonna bless us. How you doing, Dr. Kia?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking, and thank you for having me on the show. It is a great honor and a privilege.
Oh, it's so pretty. She's told me before we started that she had a busy day. Okay, and so forgive her if she's not her normal vibrant self, but she always is. She's always is. So tell us about yourself a little bit, Miss Pruitt. Doctor.
Okay.
Doctor. I'm gonna name this. You know what I should name this, and I want your permission. Can I say, "What's up, Doc?"
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. I love it.
It just came into my mind. So
okay.
so go ahead. You can tell us about a little bit about yourself.
A little bit about myself. Peace, family. My name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I am a journalist, a humanitarian, and a philanthropist. So my love is people. I have a love for people, and my mission in life is to liberate humanity. I've always known that all of my life. So I'm thrilled to be here on the planet. I desire to come here to help push forward this new era, the golden era, which the people behind the scenes actually called the CORONA. Can we say that word over here?
You can say anything you want here.
Okay.
This is Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. This is
it. Okay.
You ain't got a point. You ain't got a point. You can say the
hallelujah. I'm not censored over here. Okay.
I want you to come over and join our Rumble family, man. You can say whatever you want.
All right. So I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, and you can do.
So yes, I desire to come here during this time. And as you all know, during 2020, a lot of the people behind the scenes were talking about the corona. So what they were essentially saying in codes is we're coming into a new era. And that was my clue. I knew that everything I had been preparing for, all my studies, all of my knowledge, my research was for a time such as this. So what they were talking about when they were talking about corona was what it means. So corona as in crown, it literally means crown. So the bankers were talking to each other in banking terminology that this is a virus that's about to spread, and that is a crown reality or a rise in consciousness. So crown, corona as in crown, as in gold, as in Christos, as in ascending in power to your, in consciousness to your highest self. And in addition to that, the use of gold to help usher that era in, because gold does help you to ascend in consciousness. So again, I'm Dr. Kia Pruitt. I have a background in many things. My bachelor's degree actually was a combination of many disciplines. So I created it myself. I don't even know what made me think of that when I was 18, 17, actually. So my disciplines that I put together for my bachelor's program was economics, social sciences, economics, psychology, sociology, and political science. So I graduated with that interdependence studies program
Okay.
with a master's. And then I moved on to get a master's in counseling and rehabilitation, and then a master's in leadership studies, and then finally a doctorate of philosophy in education and counseling psychology. I also am a certified life coach and an author. And let's see, I've had a lot of experience in education. My family owned our own public school, our own private school, excuse me. So we taught our own children as educated
I
people. Yes,
didn't
yes,
know that. I didn't know that.
yes.
That's that's great. That's
So they started off in public school, and my sister-in-law said, you know what? Our children are too bright for that. My children and her children, we raised the whole testing scores of the school because how intelligent our children were. Their IQ was that high. So
Mhm.
when they would take the test, it actually put the school on the map. So
Okay.
my sister said, this is because we all work with our children outside of the public schools, and we were very active in the school system,
Mhm.
volunteering. I was doing some teaching in the schools, just part-time on my own for no pay. So we started our own school and educated our own children. And then from there, I went into counseling and just help create family businesses for my in-laws and my children's father who recently passed. So I was very active in my children's lives, very active in the community, very active as an ordained evangelist in the church. And so, my thought process was that I've always had in my mind that I desire for people to ascend in consciousness and become highly self-actualized. So even in church, I said, I don't want to just talk about Jesus Christ as a person, but I want to talk about Jesus Christ as being a consciousness, and how we all are Christ, and how we all could ascend to be like Christ or have a consciousness like the person that we call Christ. So what I did was created programs. I created counseling programs. I created
Wow.
life coaching programs. I created outreach ministries so that we can help people outside become healed. I help people get out of debt, by bringing in speakers to help them get out of debt. I brought in financial advisors before my church and my community. So I had 12 ministries underneath my belt by the time I was like 32. And I was an ordained evangelist going out, and I was working in,
Jeez.
yes, raising children and taking care of a husband. And, but God just gave me the energy to do all that.
You are so girl. You don't know how you so. You're like a lovely thought of God. Go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going.
So I was coaching on the side. I was working in the school system, our school system. And then as our children got older, I transitioned into higher education to work with medical students, pre-med students, medical students, pre-doctoral, dental students, and dental students, teaching them verbal reasoning, help them to pass their board exams, and just creating personal development workshops for them. So I have a lot of experiences, as well as I helped my son start an international organization, and I was actually his overseer. So I give God thanks and glory for that. My son trusted me enough to be the overseer of his ministry. And
Okay.
we traveled the world, many places, teaching people how to become self-sufficient outside of the government and how to ascend in consciousness, becoming a Christ being walking on earth. And that's something a lot of people were not accustomed to. And it was very challenging for a lot of church pastors to embrace.
Mhm.
But God really, he put me in a place where I came upon one pastor who actually allowed me to grow the church, and to help the ministry and people, who were in the community. So that's my life in a nutshell. I have 8 children.
Wow.
Um, my yeah.
Wow. How you did all that with Wow. Come on.
So 4 are with my husband, and he had 4
Uh-huh.
outside of us.
Uh-huh.
And I raised them, I helped him raise them,
Okay.
and and then took care of him until he closed his eyes in peace, January the 28th, 2022.
Oh, I'm
So
so
that's my
sorry. I'm so
story.
sorry for your loss.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, you know where he's at. You know he's doing good. I
Absolutely.
want to I want to just touch on what you said. That's very profound because
Okay.
when you say that we all should be walking as Christ,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
I don't know what my audience calls Jesus or Yeshua or whatever,
Yeah.
but it was a title, you know, Yeshua the Christ, and
Yes.
Christ means the love, universal love and protection of God. That's basically what was
Mhm.
taught in the ancient texts, you know, that we all are in this Christ. We all can become Christ consciousness. All right. And in Jesus or Yeshua showed us the way to do that. So a lot of people when they really come to me and talk about that, I said, do you really know what the Christ is? And you just probably explained it, you know, getting that Christ consciousness, and we all
Yes.
can walk in that light.
Yes.
Yeah, so I don't know how to follow up you because I want you're gonna put this on your channel,
Yes,
hopefully,
sir.
and I want people to realize who I am. They
Absolutely.
call me Sergeant Sovereign because I served in the Marine Corps. I actually did 2 years of law school before I joined the
Oh,
Marine Corps.
okay.
I met a young lady and we did our thing and she got pregnant. And back in those days, it wasn't I wasn't gonna go try to live off of welfare. So I always
Absolutely.
wanted to be a Marine. And so
Mhm.
I said, well, this is a chance. I can come back after I get out of Marines and finish law school. And
Yes.
so I joined the Marines then. And so another thing that I like about you is because of what you say on your video that a lot of troopers don't get. And that's
Mhm.
about the Act of 1871. I'm going to get into
Yes.
that
Yes.
very shortly, but I want everybody to basically know the trip that I've been on. In 1999, my best friend, I had to write this down because I'm usually basically just going on pro se here. But
Okay.
my best friend, I don't want to miss nothing because I got a new audience here. So my best friend in the Marine Corps passed away, and his dad was a Supreme Court judge of Texas at the
Mhm.
time, and at that time he was been a Supreme Court judge for over 30 years, and we became close after my best friend passed away, and they basically adopted me as a surrogate son. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And when I told him that when I get out of the Marines, I want to go back and get my law degree, and he says we'll talk about that. And so when I got out of the Marines, I called him up, and he says, "Yeah, well, you come down and we can talk about it." Blah 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 blah. So I went down there, and for like 3 months, he taught me about the legal system, not the
Mm.
lawful one, because
Mhm.
he told me there's two different systems that's working. And one of the first lessons was to learn about commercial law,
Mm.
which is vital on you when you begin your journey to reclaim your sovereign inalienable rights. You know, sovereigns use commercial law to form contractual agreements with each other. Commercial law is over 6,500 years old and is under the two top laws. You know,
Mhm.
this is the hierarchy of law. You have divine law at number one, natural law at number two, and then commercial law. Me
Mhm.
and you, see, a lot of people think commercial law is all about money. It's not.
Yeah.
It's about
Yeah.
interreactions between each other. Like me and you are in a contract or agreement right here. We decided we're gonna make a freaking video together.
That's
So
right.
if I slip and say some unsavory words, I hope your audience forgive me.
They're fine.
Maureen, so I might slip and say something. So forgive me, guys. All right. If I'm not cursing, because cursing is I hope you die. You know, so a word is nothing except for the energy you put behind it. So some people think that common law is above commercial law, but it's not, because common law is a collection of court decisions, usually made in a common system that humans agree on in a contract. That's where commercial law comes in. You see, systems has to be agreed to or consent to
Mhm.
by each sovereign human being. That is what we call contractual agreements. And contractual agreements are commercial in nature between two or more people. All right. Commercial law is not just about money, but it's about the exchange between two or more people, such as intellectual property or ideas or creations of one or more people. And notice I use people and human beings, or man or woman, not persons,
Yes.
which are commercial creations.
Yeah.
So once you start to understand the basis of how that is put forth, you'll get there. He taught me a valuable lesson that all man-made laws in its essence should follow the divine source principle of truth. And truth is sovereign, no matter where you're at, in any law, in any court that's created to uphold the divine law. And that was my foundation. He was a God-fearing man, and he cried when he told me he had failed God by going against this one vital principle while serving as a judge, and that he felt God had taken his son as a lesson to him for all he had done by pushing a form of slavery upon God's children, which is us. His words, not mine. So he then started to tell me how the legal system was very unlawful to the divine law of God, a source. Okay. And one of the first questions to me was, son, how many states are in America? So I'm going to ask you, Miss Dr. Pruitt. I'm sorry, Dr. Pruitt. I'm messing with a doctor now, so I got. Could you answer that? How many states are in America?
I'm going to yield the floor back to you, the expert.
So, okay, a lot of people would say it's 50. Right? That's the normal answer, but it's not. Okay. That's when he started opening up this deep rabbit hole to me that I've been in. And until recently, when I found out that the non-terrestrials that bought these systems of slavery to terror are home. So if you ask me now how many states are in America, I would say 105. And people say, what are you talking about, Sarge? Well, there's 50 de jure states. De jure means real, okay, plus the 50 corporate states. Okay. And then you have the 5 corporate states called territories of America, which is Samoa, Guam, the North Mariana Islands, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So the corporate states are called states of, which means it's in a state of corporation under the U.S. corporation that was created in 1871, unbeknownst to the people and unlawfully by criminals in our Congress. Okay. They set up a new government or a separate government for the District of Columbia. So when you hear me in any time saying in this video about the United States of DC, that's who I'm talking about, because there's 2 different United States. There was the de jure ones, okay, that was the states united by the people, for the people, and of the people. And then they created a corporation basically for Washington, DC. So you have the corporation states, which would be like the state of California, versus California state. So I want people to, I got to give you credit too, because she's one of the few who tells the truth about that act. So I've heard you say that many times. So I know you got some knowledge about this. So you had to do some deep studying for this, because a lot of people don't understand or overstand any of this. It created a separate government for the District of Columbia, along with a stolen name for the corporation that uses the same mirror name that we call the United States. That's why it was so hard for those, because these people were just coming out of a civil war. All right. And President Lincoln was the president of the Republic at the time, and he knew what the bankers was going to do. So the only president to pay off the debt and kick out the bankers was Andrew Jackson. And he did that in 1833. And from that time until the Civil War, America experienced the greatest Jubilee and restoration. It was called, what was it called? The Industrial Revolution. Okay. That's when America started becoming a power on the world stage, and they became a lot of people became rich, and a lot of people were doing it. We had free human beings over here, except for a few. Okay, I'm not going to get into that, but they first incorporated in the city of London. Okay, a lot of people don't know that when they first started the United States of DC, it was incorporated in London, and it was transferred to Delaware back in the 90s, I think. And that's not important, but what's important is that that Congress did this unlawfully and acting outside of the original contract. See, a lot of people call the Constitution the law of the land and blah, blah, blah. The Constitution is just basically a contract, Doc. Okay. And it's between we, the people, and our employees. Okay? We tell them, look, what you go look at the original Constitution, the first three words tell who the sovereigns are. We, the people. And they're making this contract for our employees who have to take an oath to it and swear to and sign to it that you're not going to violate any of these rules or any of our inalienable God-given natural and divine rights that we have. You know, so it's a contract. It's not the law of the land. It's the law for them. Okay.
Right.
We have our own laws, okay, which we give to them. Okay. And they have to agree with it. If you don't want to work with us, all right, you don't do it. All right. That's your choice. You volunteer to work for us. Okay. You're a servant, basically. So when I talk to my servants and when I talk to my employees, I don't be disrespectful, but I let them know where I stand.
Absolutely.
Right? So you see, most people fail to realize that this is the way we can get back control of our nation. All right. You know, so it says right there in the first three words that, and this is how these crooks really did it. And I know you know this, you know, they said, we the people of the United States, of the States United, all de jure, meaning all organic or real with uppercase, then small letters, and then uppercase, small letters in the second states, and in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the common welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Okay. These crooks, they changed that Constitution. And I know what did they change it to, Dr. Pruitt? They said all of that of the United States. That means that the United States is now pretending to be sovereign over the people. Okay? Because when you make something of something, you are saying, hey, I'm the boss.
Yes.
I make something for you. That means I'm telling you, I'm your boss.
Yes.
We the people collectively are the bosses of our country. You know, each one of us have equal power in our country. That's what sovereigns do. We decided, okay, we're going to agree to have a government, and it's not going to be a democracy. Nowhere in the original contract or in the fake contract does it say anything about freaking democracy. All right. It says what? We're going to form a republic. And we're going to guarantee a republic form of government in each state, okay, in our country. And a republic means that it respects the rights of the individual,
right?
Okay, and not father, just like you said in one of your videos, the founding fathers of this country must have had divine intervention because they knew that if they didn't do that, make a republic, a democracy is basically what do they call it? The mob rule. You know what I'm saying? That's like 2 lines and 3 sheep voting. No, 4 lines and 1 sheep voting what's for dinner. You know what I'm saying? Come on.
Right.
And they could vote away your inalienable rights at any point in a democracy. In a republic, it never happened because it puts our individual God-given rights first. That's why we have the Bill of Rights, okay? Yes. A lot of people don't realize that. So once I found that out, it was like me getting hit by a speeding 747. And I saw how the crooks had not only stole the United States, but had also created servants out of the sovereign people. Yeah. And this is the greatest secret of the past 150 years, okay? And until people realize that that is the foundation of where we got to start, because when these Congress people breach their contract, and if I have a contract agreement with you, Dr. Pruitt, and I freaking go off and do something that's not in that contract, you can void that contract.
Absolutely.
Fraud begins. I mean, fraud ends where fraud begins. So that fraud began in 1871.
Absolutely.
So that's where it ends, because they had no business, they had no right. It was unlawful to create a separate government and then overlay it with our government. They had no right. It wasn't spelled out in the original Constitution. They say, okay, Congress, you can make another government and create one for DC. You know, they didn't even know nothing about that, you know, back then. So they didn't do that. So they went outside of that contract and created their own government, and they got government was basically incorporated in England, which was the country that we were fighting to get control over in the Revolutionary War. So they stole our country without even firing a shot. Well, they did fire one shot, and that was to President Lincoln. He tried to go against the bankers' rule. Yeah, said, because the bankers said, no, we want this. You're gonna pay us our money, because they play both sides. Yeah, they started that Civil War. They had the South going against the North, and we were killing each other over for these people. Okay, and we didn't even know no better. Right? Everybody thought it was about slavery, but it wasn't about slavery. Slavery had something to do with it, but it wasn't just about slavery. It's about money. Okay? Exactly. Okay, so that's what everything is about in this world, and in control and power. That's what it was. All right. So when they put that bullet in Lincoln's head, because he tried to come out, he says, "No, I'm making these greenbacks. We're gonna have our own bank. You ain't coming back in here with that crap. You know, I'm a Jackson's. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna follow Andrew Jackson, and Andrew Jackson was the only one that kicked these people out, paid off the debt, and said, hey, take a hike. You know what I'm saying? And they were mad ever since then. So it didn't take long for them to try to get back. Right. And when he said greenback, no, we're gonna create our own money, and you ain't gonna owe. We ain't gonna owe you nothing. We're gonna pay you in our money. They said, hell no, and they killed him. And right after that, they started this crap of taking control over our country. So a lot of people got to realize this is history, not his story. A lot of people think that his story, oh, you know, it was a crazy guy that shot Lincoln. No, he was a Freemason, and he was all paid off by the bankers at the time. Right. Absolutely. And then they duped the people into, like, everybody know out there on your channel, when you go fill out anything with this corporation, they ask you one of the pertinent questions, which is an adhesion contract, which says, are you a United States citizen? They sure do. Yep. And when you check that box, unbeknownst to you, you're saying that I'm a member of that corporation. That's and right. I'm giving up my natural born sovereign rights to have civil rights and privileges. Okay. Civil rights come from government. Human rights come from where? God. Yes. Okay. Which is higher. Okay. God. Okay. Government didn't create us. So how are they going to call themselves sovereign over us? We, the people, created government. We, the people, put people in the government to make it run. So a lot of people realize, when you realize that they go, everybody talking about the government is doing, the government ain't doing nothing. Yeah. It's people that's working in the government, using the government to do things to you that you should be able to go to and say, what the hell are you doing? Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to do this to me. Yeah. And I've done that. I've been living a sovereign life since 2006. Okay. And so, and I don't pay no taxes. I don't do any of that crap, because show me the contract where I signed that I said I'm going to give up my sovereign rights, my natural rights, to be a member of this corporation. They won't do it. They're scared to do it because they know that the avalanche will be open. And everybody, oh my God, you see what Sergeant Sovereign did? He said, show me the contract. Blah, blah, blah. And they can't show, because there is no valid contract. Right. Checking that box is not a contract. It's an adhesion contract. See, a contract is when you sit down with me and you, Dr. Pruitt, and we say, hey, we're going to make a contract between me and you together, and we're going to explain each term of that contract, and we're going to come to a meeting of the minds and say, okay, this is cool, and we all agree with it. Hey, no, Sarge, you got to take this out. I don't agree with that. Oh, Dr. Pruitt, I don't agree with that. We got to have a meeting of the minds. Okay? They don't do that when you check a box. They're not do that you becoming a citizen. Okay, it's just a commercial term for member of. Okay, they don't tell you that. They don't tell you that you're giving up your sovereign rights to have civil rights, you know. And you see all these sycophants out there talking about, oh, my civil rights, my civil. I always wanted back in the 60s, okay, when the Black culture was out there fighting for their human rights, okay, they would trick them and say, oh, you got to go for your civil rights. You know, you got to go. Not knowing, the people that was doing it didn't know that They were basically saying, hey, I still want to be a slave of the government. No, you're not. Okay. You want your human rights. Okay. When they freed the slaves back in the 1800s or whenever they did, okay, you don't get a chance to say now, like what they did, say, oh, now all the free slaves are now citizens of the fake corporation that we just created, and you are free, okay, except if you commit a crime and all that other crap that they put in there. So that's what we are, and that's where we are at this point. And so I just want your audience to know that that's what I teach on my channel mostly.
Okay.
I know my audience gets tired of me going over and over, and I do it because Dr. Pruitt, they've been lying to us so much. Yes. And repeating that lie to what people think is true.
Yes.
People don't even know there's two United States. They have no clue. I've talked to lawyers. I've talked who's a member of the bar. They don't even know what bar means. I said, what does bar mean, dude? And this is a DA. He's like, what do you mean what it means? It's where I got my membership. I said, no, bar means British Accreditation Registry.
Right.
Or an agent. Show me a contract where I made a deal to have you judge me. You have jurisdiction over this case matter, but you have jurisdiction over me. Okay. Show me where you get jurisdiction over me. He couldn't adjourn the case. Stuff like that. You just got to know how to stand on your sovereignty. So I know I was a little long-winded there, but I just want to get that over with so I don't have to never say that again. And so we're going to get into this this thing that we're talking about with Nasara Gassar.
Oh, okay.
And I want you to bring up that debt clock, and I want you to do your thing and tell us what's going on with this debt clock and how this is a sign that Nasara Gassar is being implemented behind the scenes, whether we know it or not. Okay, this is the debt clock as we speak in real time, guys.
Absolutely.
All right, take it away.
So, do I need to change anything on the screen, or I just go from here?
You just go from there. I think everybody can see this.
Okay. So on the United States debt clock, we noticed that the United States has reached a debt ceiling, and that is $31 trillion, $31,500 million. Janet Yellen, the United States Secretary, made an announcement on Thursday, January the 19th of this year, that we reached the debt ceiling. That means that the United States can no longer spend any more credit, and that means that the dollar is in trouble. So she said, she had the audacity to say that we're going to have to take extreme measures to deal with that. And what that includes is dipping into the retirement funds of government workers and United States postal workers. So I think that's crazy.
Well, what she's saying is, see, a lot of people will realize they're talking about that fake corporation. And I think the military is in charge, right? I mean, I know that the military is in charge, and they're making her go out there and say, but just for the normies, the people that are not paying attention, she's saying that the debt has gotten so big, $31 trillion. Think about that. A trillion is what? 1,000 billion? Right? Isn't that the I think I took math in 8th grade. Yeah, it's 1,000 billion. Okay. All right. You got $31 trillion worth of debt that this corporation has stolen from us. All right. So the debt is not what we owe, it's what that corporation has created. We don't owe them nothing. All right. And I think that if Trump was very smart when he came to bankruptcy and all this other stuff that he was doing when he was in business. And I think he's been an undercover agent for a lot longer than what people have been telling us. All right. Absolutely. I think he went to Hollywood to uncover all that crap out there. He knew about the business. His uncle was working with Tesla and a whole lot of others. I mean, they even wrote a book back. What was that book name, Miss Dr. The Baron Trump, the Pictures of Baron Trump. So it seems like he has some things with time travel. I'm not even gonna get into that. But off-world beats, everything. So when we see this, I want you to get to the point where you're gonna tell me about something that's very unusual about this debt card. Okay.
So yes, if you look down to on the what's my right, I might be there a lot left.
No, it's on the right.
It's on the right here too.
Okay.
So if you look here, and I've been looking at the debt clocks for, I want to say like 5 or 6 years. And what I noticed before was they always had a dollar to oil ratio, a dollar to silver ratio, and a dollar to gold ratio that showed how many dollars it would take to purchase these commodities. So what we notice now is, you see the dollar to oil ratio is actually $0. The dollar to silver ratio is $0 per ounce, and a dollar to gold ratio is $0. And that's interesting because just a few years ago, the dollar to silver ratio was like $4,900, and the dollar to gold ratio was $9,000 per ounce. So it would take 9,000 USD, US dollars, US fiat greenback notes to purchase an ounce of gold. But we see that everything has plummeted to zero. Now, I think that's very interesting to note, because the way we process that is the United States dollar actually has decreased in value. And we know this because when all of those countries dropped the United States dollar, according to Project Sandman, there was an agreement that 209 countries would, when triggered, drop the United States dollar and flee to the gold standard. Now, a lot of people won't say flee to the gold standard. They'll just say drop the United States dollar. Most people don't even know about Project Sandman,
Oh, yeah, that's what I was getting ready to ask you. I was like, what is Project Sandman? Okay, I know a little bit about it, but can you explain to our audience? What's that? Yes. I know your audience probably already know. All right.
Yes. Actually, you'd be surprised that most people did not know about it. So we sound like we were like loony in 2017 when we started talking about this. So we would say 209 countries agreed behind the scenes to drop the United States dollar and return to the gold standard. Well, it wasn't until 2019, I think, that they actually put a name to it, or at least published it. And that name is called Project Sandman. According to Project Sandman, what they will say is 100+ nations agreed that when triggered, they would drop the United States dollar and return to the gold standard. And at that time, the dollar would plummet to zero, and all dollar-denominated assets will also plummet to near zero or zero. And that's exactly what we saw happening when Putin went to the Ukraine to clean out the dumps, to get rid of the trafficking, the drug trafficking, the human trafficking dealing with children. Putin went over there to clean it out because a lot of deep state actors all over the world were participating in nefarious activities over there.
Right.
When he did that, number 46, I guess I can say his name over here.
Yeah, you can say it.
I can't. So Biden put sanctions on Putin. But a lot of people don't realize that Putin, Xi Jinping of China, and number 45, President Trump, who's also the 19th president of the Republic, they were all working together behind the scenes.
Yes.
So, sir?
Yes.
So when Putin went over there to clean it out, then the 46 or Biden put sanctions on Vladimir Putin. But Vladimir Putin, being the great chess master that he is, just said, it's okay. You can put sanctions on me. It means nothing. I'll just drop the United States dollar for trade and I will go to the gold standard. He then led the BRICS nations, the BRICS Union, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa to do the same. Then that led Saudi Arabia to drop the United States dollar.
Yeah.
And then other countries, one by one, dropped the United States dollar. Yes. So so what you see happening, again, according to Project Sandman, is when triggered, and Putin was the trigger, right, all of the countries would drop the United States dollar, and then all the dollar and dollar denominated assets will plunge to zero. And so when those countries dropped the dollar, those dollars came flooding back home to America, and they decreased in value such that now, right before all the countries dropped the dollar had actually lost 98% of its purchasing power. Now it really plummeted to zero, and it's lost nearly 100% of its purchasing power. So we see these zeros here, which is a signal to us that the white hats, the people behind the scenes that are in control, working
military.
the military and the Republic our lawful government, they are bringing on a new system. So it won't be based on dollars.
Right.
It won't be based on the fiat dollars. It will be based on money that is backed by silver and gold. So we're going to see this change.
It's going to even be more than that, because when the quantum financial system come online, and you know about that,
yeah,
it's going to be based on a gift from source. I mean, it's going to be
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? We're going to eventually phase out money. You know,
absolutely, yes.
But I want all our audience to know, I smell a military operation here. Mm-hmm. And I've been told that this is what, you know, everything that we've been seeing on face is basically something that they're doing behind the scenes. Putin and Trump and China and Xi, they had already agreed to clean out the deep state, each one of their countries, and they were basically going over, and they had to go after these bio labs that's in Ukraine, Taiwan, all over. There was like 2,800 bio labs all over the world. I mean, they had to go and clean them out. And then the dumbs, that's another story. We can make a 3-hour video about the dumbs.
You probably know about and for your audience, know they're deep underground military bases, being in military. But when you're talking to civilians, they don't believe that actually exists. But
because the truth is the truth, it don't matter if you believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? You can sit there and ignore the truth all you want, but that's at your peril, you know. So one day everybody's gonna be coming to Dr. Pruitt and Sarge and says, "Could you tell us about it?" You know, we gotta let them in. You gotta let them in. I'm not gonna. Hey, you know for a fact, being in psychology, this is like Stockholm syndrome. Okay, where a lot of people identifying with their enslavers. You know, and they don't even know it. They don't even know it. I feel that, you know, I used to pick at them and say, "Oh, you dummies," and all this. I don't do that hardly anymore, unless I've told you this and it's put it right in your face, and then you still say, "Oh no, Biden's president," or some shit like that. I'm like, okay, I'm not messing with you, you big dummy. You know what I'm saying? So I
show you something else on here that's interesting.
Oh no, I was just following what you was putting out to your you see anything else, because you've been U.S. millionaires.
Yes, so look at it, it's 22,681,373 right now, but that number has been increasing like every few minutes.
So what you thinking? What are you thinking that it just went up one more? Okay. So what are you thinking that everybody is receiving their trust funds?
That's what I believe. Yes, that's what I gather from my research, that you talked about the quantum accounts. So we each have a quantum account. We each have a trust. So what it looks like is the number of millionaires in this country is growing. And so this is happening behind the scenes while they're also putting forth the gold to pay off the debt. Now, we know that gold is going to revalue. Everybody keep looking at that number. We know that gold is going to revalue, because in order to pay off all the debts that are on the books, when you think of Medicare, Social Security, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, just all of the debts, period, you have to revalue gold between, get this, $80,000 to $100,000 per ounce.
So I want everybody to realize that this military operation was going on for the last 5-6 years. And they have been seizing the assets of that corporation that we call the United States of DC. Okay. And they were all connected to London and the Vatican. And guess what? They probably recovered, from what I'm hearing, enough gold to make every human being on this planet a billionaire, and still have over 3/4 of it left. So that's how much trillions and quadrillions of dollars that they recovered. So paying off the debts to who? All right. They're just going to jubilee that debt. Remember, a lot of people don't realize back in the old days, it used to be a jubilee every 7 years.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, and it would have to forgive the debts every 7 years. This was called a banking jubilee, and it was God's law. It was basically based on God's law. Hey, you can't have people in debt no longer than this long time. I mean, 7 years. That's what they said it at. That was
Yeah, we call it in the Hebrew tradition the Shemitah.
Shamika. Okay. See, I know you know all about that.
Yeah. So what happened was when the children of Israel came out of Egypt, the God of the Israelites, Yahweh, told them to count 7 years. And so on the 7th year of that 7-year cycle, they were supposed to have a Shemitah, which is a release, a letting go. So a Jubilee. And you were supposed to actually let go of those people who owed you debts and just completely cancel their debts. So, governments did the same thing to follow the Hebrew principle. Right. But when the United States Incorporated took over, what they did during the Shemitah, the end of the 7th-year cycle, instead of letting people go and canceling our debts, was they caused a complete and utter destruction of the stock market. We had financial crises, stock market crashes, housing crashes. In fact, you can go, I looked all the way back to like the 1900s. And I said, okay, that might be a little too far because I took my people, my audience to 1929 during the Great Depression. And I said, every 7 years, you literally had a collapse. So, and then even some people are like, okay, that's too far back. What about our time? I said, okay, let's look at 2001. There was a collapse. Then 7 years after that, 2008, 2009, there was a collapse. And that's why Obama had to bail the banks out, said they were too big to fail. Didn't bail us out, but bail the banks out. In 2015, you saw a collapse. Then, no, let me go back to 2001. 2001, when we saw that collapse, that was 9/11.
That's when the SARA is supposed to have been announced.
The SARA should have been announced at that time, our Jubilee, but instead these nefarious beings imploded the towers, took out the gold out of the towers, sent a CGI or some type of something into the Pentagon from which the SARA announcement was to come. And they had us in utter trauma.
They sent the missile into the Pentagon in the CGI plane.
It was a missile and a CGI. Thank you for that.
Into the towers. Because you can see that there's no way a aluminum plane can go through steel force freaking towers like that. And then
civilians
they blew it up. Okay, yeah. That
was 2001, then 2008, then 2015, and then another Shemitah cycle we're in right now is 2022 to 2023. So they're going to do a destruction and a collapse of the financial market. But it's going to be for our good, because at the same time, when they destroy that, is what they call a crack up boom or a crack boom. They print up all, at the end of every empire, Sarge, they print up all the money, they print out a lot of money, they spend up the debt, and then they crash the system.
That's what
and move towards another system that's based on sound money. So you're going to still see that crash happening during the Shemitah. But you're also going to really see a Jubilee thanks to the National Economic Security Reformation Act, known as NESARA, or the global version of that, the Global Economic Security Reformation Act, known as.
Let me reassure our audiences, man. When the banks fail, okay, guess what? The debt goes away, because everything that they freaking have under debt, okay, you're freed from it. So if you owe a mortgage to a bank or anything, like, guess what? You ain't gonna owe it no more, because guess what? The banks are gone. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to all of it? Now, a lot of people worrying about that little tree bark that they got in their bank account. Don't worry, it's gonna be a scare.
Yeah, it will be.
For a minute. All right. And that's gonna be something that we needed, because a lot of people fell asleep at the wheel.
Yes.
Well, we've been trading tree bark. I call it tree bark because it's paper money. Okay. All right. It's made from trees. All right. Okay. So we've been trading tree bark. And when they set up in 1913 the Federal Reserve, they made a deal which I would make with anybody if I was a crook. Hey, I'm going to give you some paper. You give me interest in gold and silver.
Right.
And so, yeah. I mean, come on. And I put some numbers, some dead presidents on it, and say, okay, here's $100 bill. Now you owe me $100 interest in gold. I mean, who does that? Absolutely. And these crooks, see, that's how they play games with us, mess with our minds, and we don't even see it. And then that lasted for like 13 years or something. 15 years into 1928, when they say, okay, we're going to stop printing money, and they crashed the whole system. Okay, that was called the Great Depression. They
Yes.
didn't print no more money. And then we had the crook come in there, Mr. FDR. I don't know if he's a crook, but he sure did traitorize his position because
Right.
he made, okay, we're gonna make this new deal where now you, the people, are the collateral, okay, and we're gonna monetize your birth, okay, and create corporations out of you and trade you on the market. But now you got to give us your gold too,
See?
your private gold. That's treason.
Yeah,
You can't do that,
absolutely. And the penalty of treason is
It's death, all right? So,
yes, sir.
so I mean, everybody that you could actually put a case on that everybody that works in that corporation that's been stealing our wealth and our prosperity and our freaking freedoms, okay, they could be charged with treason. Now, a lot of them are going to say, I didn't know, plausible deniability. But once you tell them and then you show them that with this act of 1871, like what I did in court, I brung it in court and says, look, this is Act 1871, where it created a new government. Which one did you take an oath to? My honor. Oh, I'm just we're gonna adjourn this case.
Wow.
Yeah, they adjourned like 3 of them, because they was coming after my properties and I wasn't gonna have it, you know what I'm saying? But I kept low because I know these are some dangerous people.
Yeah,
So I'm bad, but I ain't that bad. I ain't gonna
yes,
so,
sir.
yeah, so they do that all the time. So now
Should I
we
stop
go.
sharing?
I
Should I
want to
stop?
go because oh my God, it's almost an hour. It's almost 51 minutes. So I know you
Wow.
gotta go, and I want to keep. Could you get into the next? Could you close this screen out and get
Absolutely.
into just tell us about the 42 states that has repelled taxes on
State
precious
taxes.
metals.
Yes.
A lot of people don't think oil is a precious, it comes from the earth. Oil is the second most abundant fluid on the planet. And it's made, it don't come from dinosaur bones. It's made with the processes that happens in the earth. Okay. It is produced abundantly. See, Rockefeller and them made a deal with these well, I don't know with the devil, but they did. Yeah, they probably did. They were the devil.
Yeah.
To trick us that hey, oil is scarce and we're gonna
Right.
so that they keep the prices high. You know what I'm saying? If we all know that oil is like a penny a barrel, we wouldn't care, you know what I'm saying? And we wouldn't be paying all these exorbitant gas prices. Okay. But anyway, tell us about what's going on with that. 42.
So yes, as we move into the golden era, we will start to see the whole world return to gold according to this agreement between 209 countries, as well as an era of complete peace. Which is why we didn't have any wars under 45.
None, not even a rumor.
Not even a rumor. So what had happened though under the United States Incorporated, of course, as you said, they took away our gold. However, we're going to have a ushering in of a return to the Republic. The Republic's going to be restored, and we're going to return to the gold standard. So in order to prevent people from recognizing that precious metals are actually money, what they did was they put taxes on precious metals. But we know already that according to the Constitution for the United States of America, the Republic, what is defined as money, or I should say the United States Constitution defines the dollar as a fixed weight in silver. And according to Article 1, Section 10, the only thing that can be used as money to trade or to pay off debt are gold and silver.
Right.
But the states put taxes on it, which kind of had it suppressed and not made people think that it wasn't real money. However, recently I discovered that there are 42 states that have repealed state taxes on precious metals. So repealing the taxes or removing the taxes essentially acknowledges precious metals again as money, and we'll be able to use it for trade again. Now, before, when you would look at which states have allow you to use silver and gold as legal tender, you will only come up with 16 states. And those states, you can still look that up, were Oklahoma, Texas, Indiana, Missouri, Louisiana, Tennessee, South Carolina, West Virginia, Utah, Wyoming, Arizona, Kansas, and Missouri. But once I discovered that there were 2 articles out there I didn't even know existed. The first one you will see in January 27, 2022 said that there were 41 states that repealed taxes from precious metals. But as of February the 3rd, 2022, you saw that it said 42 states had repealed the taxes. And the only states that had not repealed taxes from precious metals were—
Here we go. Here we go. I want to hear these states.
Vermont,
Vermont,
New Jersey,
New Jersey,
Maine,
Maine,
Kentucky, Wisconsin,
Wisconsin. Okay, we
New
got
Mexico,
New Mexico.
and Hawaii.
That's 7. Okay.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so the 8th was Tennessee.
Tennessee.
So
Wait
according
a
to that
minute.
article,
You mean my crooked state is part of it?
well, according to the article published in January 27th, it said there were what? How many? Yeah. So you're right. There were 8 states. Yeah, in February. I'm sorry, there were 8 states.
Okay.
But to your point, I did some deep diving and I said, Congress has been pretty busy in 2023. Let me check and see if that's really legitimate. So what I discovered is I couldn't find any bills that were introduced in the House to remove taxes from precious metals in Vermont. But in New Jersey, I found Assembly Bill 5285. In Maine, I found LD 1446. In Tennessee, I found House Bill 1874 and House Bill 1857. In Kentucky, I found House Bill 272.
Wow.
In Wisconsin, I found Senate Bill 33. Didn't see anything for New Mexico. In Mississippi, I saw House Bill 729, as well as House Bills 518 and House Bills 426. And in Hawaii, I discovered that there was a House Bill 1184. So essentially, there are only 2 states that I could not find any bill being introduced to remove the state taxes, and that would have been Vermont and New Mexico. That doesn't mean they don't exist. That just means that I couldn't.
It's not in the public registry. Okay, yeah.
Right. So again, this is what makes it legal tender. But I don't even know if we really need them to pass laws.
We don't.
Because the Constitution already said that lawful money.
Yes, the real Constitution. Yes.
Right.
So even the fake one said that. And all we got to do is go back to the Republic. And when we go back to the Republic, all this, the state of New Mexico and the state of Vermont, they're going to have to, what are they going to be left behind while everybody else is moving forward? Those people will revolt and they will have a revolution in them states. So, yeah, that is amazing.
And if you like, before we leave, I can show you some of the NESARA benefits. Or do you want to do that another time?
We can do that another time. Oh my gosh, she's coming back, guys. She's coming back. Yeah. Okay, we'll do that. One thing that I want, because this is new, and I saw you just said that the IRS is going what? What made you see that? What made you say that?
The GOP, the Republican Party, the first thing, especially Kevin McCarthy, he decided he was going to attack the IRS. That's the first thing they did when they came into session January 2023. They made an announcement that they were going to vote against the IRS and completely demolish it because it was infringing upon the freedoms of the people.
That's right. See, this is what I want people to realize. That corporation and any of its agencies, it's going bye-bye too.
Bye-bye.
Once the United States of DC is gone, all of the agencies, FBI, CIA, IRS, only thing that's be left up is the Treasury Department. And Trump did something very special back in 2017 when he absorbed what? The Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve, yes. And he put the duties too of some of the duties of the IRS too underneath the United States Treasury.
That's where you go. So when I heard that they was going to be hiring 65,000 new IRS agents, I said these are Treasury agents. They probably going to be in charge of refunding our trust funds and all that. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's what's happening behind the scenes. They being trained. You know what I'm saying? And I know they probably skipping the work. Oh my God.
And they can't tell anybody, I'm sure.
They can't tell anybody, got an NDA. They can't tell anybody. That's treason if you do that, because this is a military operation.
That's right.
And they really understand. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. They can't allow the enemy to know what we're doing. We're not under those old regimes where they say, hey, on February on July 1st, we're gonna do this and don't cross this line or whatever. We don't do that in the military. That's what I couldn't believe that Obama and Bush and the rest of was doing that. I was saying, what type of crap is this? We're gonna tell people what we're doing. So that means that this is all orchestrated. You know, hey, they're gonna be prepared. Okay, like anyway. Yeah. So yes, we covered a lot, and I had so much fun with you. Next time, I'm not going to take up so much of your time.
Oh, it's okay. I enjoyed it. I woke up. You see, I'm awake now. This was fun.
Yeah, you awake now. It's like you got some no-dos, right?
Just talking about liberation of the planet and helping God's people just makes me excited.
And that's what we came here to do. We all, you know that we're a soul family. You know, you're my Starseed sister.
That's
you know what I'm saying? And we found each other. I got so many Starseed brothers and sisters out there that's finding each other. It's so amazing to see. And we all are here for one thing, to cause the great awakening.
Yes.
The souls that's been trapped here in this recycling thing that they were doing with the reincarnation trap and all that, the soul trap, you know what they call it. That is sad. That's the worst thing you can do to a soul. Is shock its memory, shock a soul's memory into amnesia. That's like death, because souls, we don't die. So what is the next thing to death?
Right.
Losing the knowledge of who you are. Okay? Eventually it comes back, but that's why they cut down our freaking genetics, where they went in and genetically engineered us to where we can't live no past. You know, if you live past 100, you're doing good. You know what I'm saying? Back in the day, you could live thousands of years if you wanted to. But
we're going to get back to that.
We're going to get back to that,
especially with technology being released,
and with all the cures. With all the cures, and they're not trying to kill us. I'm surprised that we survived. They're trying to kill us, man. Look how long they've been trying to kill us. Over and over again, putting stuff in our water, our air, our food. But guess what?
The sky.
We got source in us, and they know that the main thing that they're after is our DNA. Okay, that's what these non-terrestrial beings really trade, our DNA, and they use us. You know what I'm saying? They got the earth, like their supermarket has been closed down. Okay, it's got a no sale sign on outside of it now, and they cannot come in here no more. Okay, and that's it. So they just got to go. Now we got to take care of these few last minions that we got and clean this place up. All right. So I just want everybody to I'm gonna put Dr. Kia's link in the video, and hopefully you'll
send your link over to me too, right? So I can add it to the video for my audience.
Yes, I'm gonna do that. Yes, I'm gonna do that. All right. And matter of fact, I sent you a video yesterday. The one it has the link in it. But I'll do it again if you want.
Thank you. Yes, please.
We'll do that. And let everybody know where you're at so they can give you, and we're gonna combine. We got to combine forces here, guys. You know what I'm saying? We all doing this. We all got one. We all in this together. You know what I'm saying?
So where we go one, we go all.
We go all, baby. And so I'm so glad that I met you, and I've been trying to get you for the last almost 2 years.
Wow.
Me and my friend Rosalind, okay, and she's so sad that she, I'm gonna try to have her on maybe next time. Okay. And she's a teacher too, and she's a librarian, and she loves you. All right. And she said, you gotta hear this. You gotta hear. I said, yeah, I started watching her when she had an afro. Wasn't that a girl with an afro? What happened to your afro? You let it go?
Yeah, I was like, I need to break this up. I was taking off and carrying on. I said, nope. I gotta tame it. Tame these ends.
You go. So it's been a blessing, and thank you for blessing me and the world with your knowledge. And we're gonna get back to this because a lot of things is gonna be happening. This is gonna be happening so quickly. It's gonna make our heads spin.
I look forward to it.
Look forward to it too. All right, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right. Any last words?
Well, one of the things I always say is, my name is Dr. Kia Pruitt. I hope we've said something to raise your vibrations and inspire you to create the most amazing, magnificent life that you desire and deserve.
Yes. And cheers to everyone who has stayed true to their course, and to those who will never comply to some new world order that says you're going to own nothing and be happy. No, we're not. Yeah.
Right, right.
Who the hell does this guy think he is? He ain't gonna get up there.
Who does he
Yeah,
think he is?
Right. Come on, man. All right. All right.
All right,
Peace,
darling.
peace, love, truth, and
Peace,
prosperity to everyone out there.
peace and prosperity.
All right, there you go.
Good night, King.
All right.
Bye.